from the Kellymore Memorial Studios in the beautiful south side of Chicago on what I hope to be another just gosh darn beauty day. Oh my God, yesterday, guys, the last couple of days, I've been complaining the last few weeks about how the weather around these parts sucks. My God, when was spring gonna sprung? Spring ain't never did sprung this year. We went straight to perfection. Whoa, the last 3 days. Let me check in. What are we looking at right now? Let's see here on the south side of Chicago. First of all, when you gaze outside, what you're looking at, and I hope you are getting this as well, wherever you may be, because this is the best kind of sky. You're getting the big Simpsons sky, the Simpsons. You're getting the big puffy clouds. All right, what do we got here? It is currently 86 degrees on the south side of Chicago, partly cloudy. No, pretty clouds, the big shapy clouds. Like you could go lay on your lawn right now and stare up at the clouds and go, I see a rabbit eating a taco. I don't know what you see. Those things are weird. Anyway, I hope the weather is just as... Oh, actually, I can do this. Because we always talk about how different Chicago is in Dallas. Look at this. It is 82 degrees. It is 82 degrees currently in Highland Park, and it is 86 on the south side of Chicago. One of them rare moments. Man, there's only got to be a couple of days a year where Chicago's warmer than down there in Dallas, but here we find ourselves on one. Okay, let's put this away. Don't need that. All right, folks, welcome in. It is Talk for the Normal People. Working class attitude, no partisan agenda. We're not radicalized around here. We get together every day at noon and we go through all the things that are happening in the world. Hot topics, current events, fun stuff. I don't do hardcore politics, but sometimes it's difficult to avoid. I mean, just sometimes if I'm going to be here for 2 hours giving you a stream of consciousness rant on current events, at some point I'm going to talk about something that is going to be political. And yes, I do not like President Trump. Not at all. I'm not a Trump guy. All right. But I'm also not, what anyone would call a Tesla driving, blue-haired lesbian liberal. I'm not that either, man. Just a regular guy, man. There are some things that I see I don't see a whole lot from Trump that makes sense ever. I mean, even a blind squirrel every now and again, right? But still, I don't ever think that his intentions are good. I always think that his intentions are just self-serving. I don't think that's my whole deal with him. Okay, but we're going to move on from that because, as I say, we don't get very political around here. But we do talk about the culture wars, and I'm going to start with that in just a minute. But we like to reward the podium in the chat room. We've got a chat room. That's right. For 5 years, people have been hanging out in my chat room. They're good people. We don't have fights. No one's ever been banned. You can read every comment. In fact, I'd say comments come one every 7 minutes. All right. We're not talking about a popular chat room, but what we are talking about is a chat room that we love and we are a part of for 5 years. Every day, I like to reward the first, second, and third place. We call it the podium, just like F1. Today's podium. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. What's going on with my voice? The weather this should not be a weather-related thing. Al, congratulations. Al's in first. Al's in first. Auntie April, that's right. She's the den mother of the chat room. She's in charge. And if she tells, I lean on April for, if any bullshit happens and he's like, this guy said that, I go to April and I'm like, what happened? And then she tells me, and then she does whatever she wants because I empower her. So, don't get on the wrong side of April. She's the one that'll get you kicked out. April is in second place today. And Mikey D, look at Mikey D. Look who's just missing it. Adam just missed it. Adam's never been on a podium. Adam saunters. Adam just kind of does his Adam thing. Adam's on nobody's clock except Adam. Well, I'm sure he's got daughters, so I'm sure he's on their clock. Hi, Jen. What's happening? We got Jen here. Okay, I'm trying to go down. Billy F. My old pal. We got KB. We got Barney. I don't see the Dark Lord yet, but I'm sure people are showing up. So come on, come all. The chat room is filling up. Billy says, what's up? Just enjoying my last week of unemployment. Gonna miss this deadbeat existence. All right. So There was a time not too long ago where I knew everything about Billy's life, right? Billy and I met every Tuesday night. We played trivia. We hung out. We talked a little. We got to know one another as men. Now, I was not, I'm sure I had some inkling that there was a problem going on here, but what is this about last week of unemployment? All right. I have your job situation, Bill. I'm not full up on, so I'm not going to talk about that. But what's up? Just enjoying my last week of unemployment. Are you talking about, are you getting welfare? Are you getting like unemployment? Unemployment. Are you collecting unemployment from the government, and is it about to run out? If so, I commend you, sir. I commend you. Let me tell you something about welfare in this country. It exists for us all. And right now, nobody is being hit harder than the middle class working man. Hours being reduced, tariffs or whatever. We don't get into the whole economy, but business in this country is down. And the people who suffer first are always us, the working class, the middle class. And for the longest time, the working class has sort of demonized the idea of welfare and all of this kind of shit. I am saying no. It is time for the working class to start taking advantage of all of these social safety nets that exist for a reason. All right? Nobody has any problems when we cut billionaire taxes and all that kind of stuff. The amount of money that the social welfare state accounts for in our, well, let's call it a deficit. Well, since everybody else is taking count of it. We talked about that yesterday. Nobody trusts us anymore because we have such an insane deficit because we spend money on everything. Anyway, the amount of money that is used there for the social network or social safety net is absolutely nothing compared to the kinds of crazy tax cuts that we could or that we do implement. Anyway, point is this. My thing is, if you're a guy like Bill, he seems to be ashamed of the idea that he's about to take or going off unemployment insurance, whatever. Don't be ashamed, man. Stop fucking letting them. There are things that exist in this country that are there so that we don't have to suffer. And for some reason, the working class in this country has always been dissuaded from taking advantage of it. Probably because they don't want the rich people above them to look down on them. I don't know. Probably because they need shit rolls downhill, and the middle class and the working class always looks at the poverty class like somehow they're the worst. Don't be ashamed. Bill, if you were taking unemployment insurance, and that may not be it at all, but if you are, I just want to put it out there, man. It's time that we all just start taking advantage of the shit that is there, because really rich people, man, they don't hesitate 1 minute to take advantage of loopholes that exist to benefit them. Why don't we, the working class, do that as well? We've demonized it. Okay, so let's stop demonizing. Watch. Bill was talking about something else, but I just wanted to go off on that. Barney says, hey, the working man like me ain't never been on welfare. That's one place I won't be because I'll be working. Until you're not. See, that's the whole thing. If you are a working man in America and you have paid into this corrupt bullshit system your entire working life, if you have an opportunity now to get food stamps for free or to take advantage of all of these things that you've already been paying for, why is it that the working man is carrying around this burden of I would never do that? You fucking paid for it, man. Jesus. And once again, if there's a loophole to be had by owning 5 yachts as opposed to 2 yachts, that class of people will take advantage of that shit 9 out of 10 times, 9.9 out of 10 times. So please, Barney, don't ever, because I'm a working man, because I don't work. That's like James fucking Parker going, my wife and I are going to be together forever, which I hope is true. But do you really tempt fate like that? Do you really? I mean, is that? God love the Parkers. A beautiful couple that got a bunch of kids, but my God, to tempt fate like that. There's the Dark Lord. Byron's here now. Hey, Byron. What's happening? I'll tell you something. Hey, you want to hear about taking advantage of the system? My mom has worked her ass off. You want to talk about the working man? That's who my mom is. She started her day at 4:30 a.m. every day for 40 years. My mom earned everything that she's got now as a retired woman who is going through what she's going through. What I'm talking about, she's going through stuff. And part of her really kick-ass medical coverage that she earned by being a state worker for so long. She's got great freaking, she worked for state police. She's got great, state police quality healthcare now that she's at a point in her life where she needs it. And guess what she gets? She doesn't need it, but she gets a box of food delivered to her doorstep every week. I mean, we are talking about a 30-pound box of food. They are all individual wrapped frozen dinners, right? And they're not Swanson. They're not Michelinas. They're like, like with those, like, okay, I'm talking to Adam, Barney, and Byron, and probably Billy Falk too. How like when you get like one of them TV dinners, you're like, I just make two. Just make two. I can't fucking one. One is like an hors d'oeuvre. Can we get two? None of them. Even Hungry Man. Hungry Man's like, this is for a hungry man. I'm like, yeah, a pussy. That's for a pussy hungry man. Hungry Man. I can eat 3 of those and be like, got anything for dessert? Anyway, these meals that are not like a branded thing, they come from Aetna or whatever, or medical thing. These meals are massive. They're like massive. All right, so she gets them delivered because it's just a part of her thing. And, she's a good woman. And she's like, should I send these back for people who need? I go, people who need them ain't going to get them. They think you need them. These were packaged for you. You send these back, they'll throw them in the fucking dumpster. Because that's how the system works. This is your food. She's like, I don't need all this food. Every week, another 40-pound box. So guess where that food is? That food is in my fridge right here. my kid and I, my kid comes Saturday. I'm so excited. My kid comes for the summer on Saturday, and we're going to be eating a whole bunch of free welfare. And it's not welfare. It's good. It's high-level medical insurance food. But we'll be eating that all summer because we now have a freezer stocked, and we've got another 40-pound box coming every Monday. See, the idea is because she's earned it, they're like, well, she's old. And she doesn't need to cook, and she's probably not feeling well to get around. So let's take care of her meals because she worked so hard her whole life. And again, the good person inclination is, I don't need this. And I'm like, no, we're taking it. We are keeping that food, man. If I have to stand on a street corner on the south side of Chicago and sell these kick-ass frozen meals for like $1 each, I'll do it. Because we're grinders. We're hustlers. All right, where's Bill at? All right, Bill's starting a new job on Monday, man. That's awesome. Good for Bill. Bill's got that kind of playboy life that I kind of admire. You want to talk, Bill, not married, grown-ass adult man, mature man, been working his whole life, working good job his whole life, never married. Well, actually, no, Bill, you were never married. Anyway, single. We'll just put it single and ready to mingle. Boy, Bill's always looking to mingle. This dude just travels. like Bill has been everywhere, man. Like, you can just have a conversation with Bill and he'll be like, yeah, well, when I lived in China for 18 months, I'm like, wait, what? Tell me about this. The first couple of times I went to Israel or, whatever. He's like been everywhere, Bill. Anyway, good for you, Bill. I'm glad you got a new job. That is awesome. Let's see here. Adam says, I've been on unemployment once, and that was an agreement for me seeing some shady shit with my boss. All right. So Adam was given unemployment by his boss because he saw some shady shit. They wanted to fire me for cause. There was no cause, but I said to HR, the cause was my man. All right, I get it. We're good. The manager wanted to hire the girl below me because he was fucking her. Oh, well, there you go. So they gave you got unemployment. All right, whatever. All I'm saying is that we, the working class, need to stop thinking that we don't deserve the shit that we're pissed that other people are getting, because we deserve it just as much. And when times get economically tough like they are, we need to shift the way we think about this. Instead of being like, nah, that's why the country's in trouble. That is not why the country's in trouble. Our social safety net is not why this country is in trouble, okay? So stop that and start thinking this way. I paid for it. It's my turn. It better be there now that I need it. That's how the working class needs to start thinking about these things. And my son and I will be eating chicken piccata, frozen chicken piccata dinners with the beautiful broccoli, fresh frozen broccoli. Oh my God, the meals are great. All All right. So we're all saying congratulations. Even Adam. Look at Adam's happy for Bill. All right. Happy for you, Bill. Whew. Signed out. Hold on. Oh. Google Drive signed me out. Yeah, that's my stomach. Gotta get, you know what they got in those frozen meals? My kid's gonna love these. They got like these big giant breakfasts. They're literally like, it's called power oatmeal, and it's just a big giant bowl. And it's got it. I mean, we're talking like it's like 1.5 pounds of oatmeal in this bowl. And there appears to be all kinds of fresh fruit in there and everything. Oh, he's gonna love that. He's gonna love that. So Kevin is stating something that's been talked about a lot. Government cheese is the best. Government cheese is good, man. Government cheese. I don't know if you ever had the government cheese. I've had the government cheese a lot in my life. Not that we were ever on the government cheese plan, but somehow my mom would come home and she'd have a box of the obvious state-stamped government cheese. And I'm like, where'd you get that? Who cares? Don't ask. It's good cheese. It's Velveeta. It's just Velveeta without the brand name. Nothing melts better for nachos than government cheese or Velveeta. It's got to be. Maddie, yeah, I was going to mention this today, but since we're already talking about it in the chat room, he's not. This is not. See, again, this story comes from the social media account of Polymarket. Polymarket is not. Wait, I want to have the name right? Okay, I'm not going to say the name. I don't even know that it's. Don't forget about Polymarket. Here's the thing. There is a website that is really popular, or a social handle that is really popular. It's got like millions of followers, and it presumes to be one of these prediction market sites, but really it's a satire site. And I saw this last night because I made the joke yesterday. I said 60 Minutes is going to be Joe Rogan and blah, blah, blah. So Polymarket or whatever the site is, they put up Joe Rogan is now a something favorite or whatever. Anyway, there's now a betting market for whether or not Joe Rogan it's a joke. It started from a joke parody site. It took off, then it started to trend, and then people started to write about it. And now it looks like a real story, but there is absolutely no sourcing that says that CBS or Joe Rogan's people have been in any contact talking about anything like that. And there is no way that Joe Rogan might go on 60 Minutes, or maybe, the most possible thing would be like Joe Rogan gets to do a new kind of rant at the end of each week's show, like Andy Rooney, and he's paid for that. But Joe Rogan ain't going to take the pay cut to go do 60 Minutes. He's not going to be a 60 Minutes correspondent. He doesn't want to do that. That's a hard job. Those people are traveling all over the country, working with a team of producers, putting individual stories together. Joe Rogan ain't going to do that. Like they're saying he's going to replace Anderson Cooper. Joe Rogan doesn't do Anderson Cooper's job. They're not the same thing. Like Joe Rogan wouldn't want to do that. But it is interesting. It is funny that, again, I also mentioned the joke yesterday. Imagine a stand-up comedian in 2015. When Trump announced that he's running, making the joke, oh, watch, in a few years, we'll have UFC fights at the White House. That would have been a joke in 2015. That's not a joke. That's really happening. Well, that's like the Joe Rogan. It was a joke. And now it's being talked about like it's real. Okay. I do like though that I had that thought yesterday. More congrats to Bill. Adam, does Adam know about the government cheese program? I'm sure it's a Wisconsin subsidy. I'm sure. Government cheese was created because of farm subsidies in concert with the 80s health boom of skim milk and 2% milk. All right, there we go. Oh, well, I guess he's got more. All right, here we go. Government purchased the excess milk fat and stored it in a cave. And began to run out of room. So they gave it to the poors. When does he say government cheese started? Because yeah, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I maybe that is a thing because I only had it. It was only in my refrigerator a couple of times as a kid, and that would have been in the very early 80s. Like it wasn't like I didn't know that you could get cheese from the government in the 70s. Like that wasn't a thing on my radar. Didn't come on my radar to the 80s. So as far as my remembrance goes, that tracks. All right. What's this? She's got something. I can't link from here. But let's see. Does she? Hold on. Let me see what the latest is. I'll just look for it myself. 60 Minutes, Joe Rogan. All right. Let's see what this returns. Well, first of all, AI says a CBS News spokesman has confirmed that rumors claiming Joe Rogan is being considered to join 60 Minutes are completely false. The rumor originally started circulating online following reports from celebrity and entertainment gossip sites. I'm telling you, the first place I saw it was this fake prediction market site that I always fall for. I'm like, no, is that real? And I'm like, oh, this is a parody site. The rumor originally started circulating online following reports from celebrity and entertainment gossip sites. These reports claim that CBS News executives were looking at the Austin-based host of the Joe Rogan Experience as a strategic replacement to reverse a ratings slide following the departure of veteran anchor Anderson Cooper. Again, they do not even remotely do the same job. They do not have the same experience. It's just not the same thing. Media commentators and independent outlets have widely broken down the source of the rumors and the internet's reaction to it. All right, let's see what that is. The claim CBS internal pitches suggested hiring Rogan to tap into his massive audience and better connect with viewers who feel ignored by legacy. All right, that's the claim. So let's talk about that. So what was originally said? What was originally said was that internally CBS pitched the idea of hiring Rogan to tap into his massive audience and better connect with viewers who feel ignored by legacy media. It was just a pitch. It was in a brainstorming. There are no bad ideas in a brainstorming, but it leaks out and suddenly it becomes something that, CBS, they're so corrupt. They're actually No, it was a pitch. It was a crazy pitch. And it's something that I might have pitched. Hell, I've mentioned Joe Rogan before. I pitched Joe Rogan when Howard Stern went off. I pitched that to everybody at CBS that would listen, and nobody took me serious because the Joe Rogan Experience hadn't taken off yet. And Joe was just the fear factor guy and just a guy who was, well, what is this you say he's doing? And I'm like, he's doing stuff in digital media. He's basically doing a radio talk show, and he does it every day. Well, we don't think that's going to take off. We're going to hire David Lee Roth. That's what they told me. I tried to put fucking Rogan on their radar in 2008. Whenever. 7. So, look. It was a pitch, and that seems to be the claim. The reality, okay, so here's the reality. Again, this is AI. I didn't even tap into any of the news reports, but this is what AI is saying, and they source all the different things. The reality, a spokesperson for CBS News has definitively stated that the reports are entirely false. Media analysts have noted a deal would be highly improbable anyway, given Rogan's vocal criticisms of mainstream media and his multi-million-dollar independent podcast earnings. He wouldn't be able to do the podcast. That's what I'm saying. I mean, anybody who thinks that the 60 Minutes crew just flies in on Saturday evening and records, no, they don't. They work for months and sometimes years on stories. They've got 3-4 stories going at one time. I got to be in Cleveland on Tuesday for a story I'm working on in April. Joe Rogan ain't going to do that. It's fun, though, because people online don't understand what the media's jobs are. They don't understand what they do. All they know is that we just consume the content. All right, move on. Hugh says, He says, unemployment pay is insurance you pay for through previous jobs. It's not a tax paid well. There you go. All right. Hey, whatever. The problem is that it's been branded so that the working man, once again, is the one that's got to stand on principle and suffer the consequences of those principles, because the poverty class has no principles, and we certainly know that the upper class has no principles. So again, it's us. It's the middle class. I would never take that. A guy on the radio that I listen to that makes $20 million a year told me that the working man has to stand strong against the welfare state. Oh, boy. By the way, I wanted to mention this. I watched this movie. I watched this movie when it first came out, and I really liked it. But I don't know, maybe I was really high when I watched it like 10 years ago or whenever the hell it came out. I'm not sure. But for some reason, I watched it again last night. You ever just scan through, you're flipping through, and I'm like, boom. I'm like, whoa. Like, yeah, I remember that. I don't really remember any details. I don't even know who was in it, blah, blah. So I watched it again last night. And it's in tune with what we were just talking about there. Again, I don't know what year it is. 2018, maybe 2019, somewhere in there. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 5, 6, 7 years old. Whatever. You people are probably. Someone in the chat room will tell me after I tell you what movie it is. But I rewatched Jay Roach's. You know Jay Roach. Jay Roach of what did Jay Roach? Austin Powers. All the Fockers movies. What else did Jay Roach do? He's something else that was really good, but not a lot of people saw. Anyway, Jay Roach, he's a really interesting filmmaker. Bombshell. Do you guys remember Bombshell? Bombshell is the movie about the Fox News sexual harassment scandal. It's the movie about what took down Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly and Bill Shine and all of these people who were sort of running this give us a spin, baby, kind of, newsroom there. And I just wanted to say, I watched it again last night, and holy shit, that movie is fantastic. It's a really good movie. But here is something that I just really need to mention, because I feel like I'm more familiar with this person now than I ever was before. Like, I never watched Fox News and Megyn Kelly. I knew who Megyn Kelly was because I had a sexual man, and she is gorgeous. Most beautiful woman I think that has ever been on TV. Megyn Kelly is just sexy, and she's smart and all of these things. She's a mean girl. She seems like a girl that was raised in a house full of brothers by a dad who was a cop. She's got that kind of girl edge to her. So I don't think I could have a long-standing relationship with her. She seems a little alpha for my taste in women, but everything else. She is the glass ceiling shattering woman who can do anything. She's as smart and all that. She's a terrific representation for femalehood, I think. I also think she's a little bit dark and has shown now over the years that she has sold her soul, but that's okay. My point is this. When I first saw this movie, I wasn't as familiar with Megyn Kelly as I am now. So I'm watching this movie, and it starts out with Megyn Kelly talking. It's a black screen, and you just hear Megyn Kelly on her show, The Kelly Files, from the old Fox days. And I'm like, that's well, so they're going to use real footage and all that stuff. And then it's revealed that wasn't Megyn Kelly, that was Charlize Theron. And I'm telling you, Charlize Theron does a performance as Megyn Kelly that I couldn't believe I was watching. I completely forgot. It is, I don't know how much credit Charlize Theron gets as an actress. I know she's an Academy Award-winning actress for Monster and all that stuff. But holy shit, if you have never seen Bombshell, her portrayal as Megyn Kelly, how did she get the voice? It was just really, really cool. She was terrific. And John Lithgow is Roger Ailes. Also, Nicole Kidman plays Gretchen Carlson. And then, there's a lot of guys. There's a guy who plays Hannity and a guy who plays O'Reilly. And, of course, John Lithgow plays Roger Ailes. It's very interesting. There is a third female character who is a composite character. Everybody else is named, but this composite character is played by Margot Robbie. And Margot Robbie's character is a composite of a number of women who came forward and testified in court. They didn't feel the need to name them all because there's a lot of them. But Margot Robbie is a composite of those, most notably Tomi Lahren. And it's pretty awesome. If you know who Tomi Lahren is, like her public, her branded image and all that, and you know that, and now you're watching Margot Robbie's portrayal as a girl who is based on the experience of, among others, Juliet Huddy is another one, but it's Tomi Lahren. Margot Robbie, you need to watch it just so you can see how Margot Robbie portrays what Tomi Lahren was when she was just a producer and a social media person at Fox, not yet on the air. Because it's wild. I'll give you this. She goes lesbian. There's a lesbian scene. It's crazy. Anyway, Bombshell, really good. I wanted to mention that because there's a scene where I talked about Rush Limbaugh, or actually I talked about a composite of Rush Limbaugh there when I said, we don't take welfare because a guy who makes $20 million a year on the radio is telling us that we, the working man, must stand strong against the social safety net. So I was referring to Rush Limbaugh there. There's a scene where the Margot Robbie composite character it's her first day on the Bill O'Reilly show. And they're all pitching ideas to Billo, and the Margot Robbie character pitches something that she heard on Rush Limbaugh. And Bill O'Reilly gets really angry. And he's like, is this the best we can do? Is this the new girl? Like, he's really demeaning to her right there in the meeting. Not sexually, but just mean. Just like, man, you're mean. And he shut her down, and she was devastated. The Margot Robbie character leaves her first meeting with the Bill O'Reilly show, and she's in tears, and she runs into the bathroom, and she's followed in by another producer on the Bill O'Reilly show, played by Kate McKinnon. And in this scene, Kate McKinnon explains what she did wrong, and it was fascinating. And this movie, Bombshell, explores all of these fascinating things, like you cannot reference Rush Limbaugh around Bill O'Reilly. Because Bill O'Reilly thinks Rush Limbaugh is a Hannity guy, and Bill O'Reilly fucking hates Hannity. It's like the movie is filled with these like really fun little like things. Like all the women at Fox News, none of them like Megyn Kelly. She was like the queen bee. Anyway, it's pretty good. Bombshell. You can find it on Netflix. It's on Netflix. That's where I watched it. Barney, he wants to know, we're talking more about government handouts and how we, the working class, we ought to stick our hand out. We ought to start collecting what's coming our way. Anybody else ever get that? Why not? What are they going to do? They're using bombs in a war that we don't support. Why not turn that into cheese? Have some nachos this summer, some government nachos. Barney says, anybody else ever get that government spam? That was the good stuff. No, but spam is good stuff. And you know what? We need to start embracing these foods because they're going to become staples of our diet. Yeah, spam. Spam is coming back. There's a story about spam today, but we were not going to do that story. We're going to do the other story that I found while reading the spam story, which is there is a crisis in Texas barbecue. Legendary Texas barbecue joints are closing left and right because of the price of beef. Brisket to the consumer this summer could be as high as $100 a pound. How much do you like that smoked brisket? $100 a pound by summer's end. If the price of beef, right now you're looking at $40 most places. You can't get a pound of brisket out of a place for $40. Anyway, I'll tell you the story. A couple of legendary names and a couple of people involved in the Texas smokehouse scene chiming in about the brisket crisis coming to Texas. Better learn how to work with pork. That's what I'd say. It's going to be a pork summer, man. It's going to be a lot of pork this summer. Pork is holding. Hey, I got a question for my friends. You guys, my Dallas friends, my Dallas area friends. So my question is this. Remember I used to tell you about how I go to Kroger for all the good Kroger deals, and I was a food shopping guy and all that kind of stuff. And well, my kid's coming, and he's going to eat me out of house and home, so I got to be, smart shopper again. Now, here in Chicago, we don't have Kroger's or Tom Thumbs, but we do have a Mariano's, and Mariano's is owned by Kroger. So I can get some of the things cheap that I like, the Kroger brands at Mariano, like the soda and the Coke Zero and all that good stuff. So that's okay. And here's my question for my Dallas friends. I used to tell you about Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb always had the chicken and pork specials. Buy one, get two free. Buy one. Like you buy one thing of pork chops or one thing of chicken breasts, and it was like $11, $12 for one thing. And then you'd get two more free. Yeah, walking out of there with like 30 something dollars worth of, chicken and pork for 10, $12. Tom Thumb used to do that in the back. I don't know if any of you guys still go to Tom Thumb. Does Tom Thumb still have the buy one, get two free? If you're familiar with it. Anyway, the reason I ask is because I went to the Mariano's and they've got something kind of like that. And the Mariano's, again, owned by Kroger. So I go to the Mariano's, and in the back of their meat section, they've got this whole thing, and it's the exact same signage. It looks just like Tom Thumb. So I got excited, and I went over there, and it's buy one, get one free. I'm like, what the hell? What? So I'm like, I wonder if Tom Thumb is even still doing this. Can Tom Thumb, are they still doing the buy one, get two free? Al's got an answer for me. I was like, yes, I still get those. Okay, good. All right, good for you, North Texas. That is the best meat deal that I've ever seen. I had a fridge just stocked with pork chops and chicken, man. I was ready to go. It's still there. I left it there. I wasn't going to carry it. I'm like, oh, my God. But that was the best deal. All right, thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can get sometimes, it's not always breasts. You want to get the breasts. It's not always breast. Sometimes it's the quarters, the big, which I loved, man. The big giant chicken legs, and it's the whole quarter. He's like, yeah, like you're at a Renaissance fair. Oh, I love those. Yeah, man, you throw those on the barbecue. You just slaver them up. Oh, you can just pop them in the oven. Whatever. Those are good. That's a great deal. April says HEB has brisket at $6 or $7 a pound. Will buy it all? Buy it all. That's pretty good. But you got to prepare that, or that's raw, right? That's what they're saying. They break down the price in the story that we're going to do today. So, I guess when the barbecue joint gets the meat, yeah, they pay. I don't know what the number was. Honestly, I think the number that they said that they are paying is more than $6 or $7 a pound. I think they said that they're paying like $12 a pound for brisket, and then the markup to the consumer has the price point at $40 with the margin. Anyway, we'll get into it. We'll figure it all out. But that actually sounds really good. $6 or $7 a pound, man. Jesus, ground beef. Ground beef here. I tried to buy ground beef. They had ground beef on sale. I'm like, yay. And I get over there and it's $7 a pound. That's not a sale. That's $2 more than the expensive price I thought it was last year. I thought it was expensive last year at $5, but it's $7. And that's the advertised sale price here in Chicago. All right, Barney. Barney's we're in the government spam bunny hole. So Barney's going to help us out here. He says government spam came in a can like a coffee can size. You could slice of a hamburger sized piece and fry it. So good. We only got it that one summer. That does sound good. That does sound good. I'm telling you, I mean, it's like things like government spam was not created and packaged for a profit. There wasn't any fancy packaging or any special this or special that. And it seems to me, and I just told you about the meals that my mom is getting received. These meals can't be sold in a store. There's no cool packaging or anything on them. They're just like shrink-wrapped meals with a very generic explanation of what it is with like a government stamp on it. And these meals, which are not intended at all to be profitable, are amazing. They're really good. Now, when I go to a store and I buy a frozen meal of this kind, Michelinas or what's the other one, Maria Callender's, or I go to a store and I buy one of these things, and I'm paying extra for the packaging and all that stuff. It's like half as good though. It's like the stuff they are selling for a profit isn't nearly as good. It's like they don't care about that shit. All they care about the margins and how much money they're going to make. But the shit they're giving to poor old people is actually really good. I shouldn't say poor old people because my mother's definitely not a poor old person. Like I said, she's worked her whole life and she's earned her retirement and she's very well taken care of. And, part of her deal is that she gets these meals and they're amazing. They're amazing. Don't tell my mom's husband, Eddie, that I said that. Eddie hates him. I swear to God, the whole reason that I think I'm able to get him over here is because there's no chance of him eating them. So they're not over there at that house. They're over here at this. He doesn't like them. He's a gentleman of a certain era. He likes his meat and his potatoes. He likes a real meat. Yeah, he doesn't need to eat that shit. I get it. But I come from I'm a raccoon. I'm a human raccoon. I come from that era where we just eat whatever the fuck there is, pop it in the microwave. It don't matter. I've discovered the miracle of the air fryer, though. That's you know what? I cook a lot. You guys know I cook a lot. I've been using my mom's air fryer, and I'd never used an air fryer before. And now I'm like Johnny Air Fryer. I'm like, air fry everything. You can air fry everything. I don't know if it's healthier. I just think it's cooler. April's got more info about the H-E-B is a grocery store chain that I have zero familiarity with because it was always a grocery chain that was spoken in mythological terms for people who lived in, parts of Dallas that didn't have them. Oh, I went to an H-E-B outside Houston. You hear shit like that. And then you hear there's an H-E-B coming to Frisco and people are like, I'll drive 30 miles for groceries. So the legend of H-E-B precedes itself. I don't have much of a familiarity with it, though. April says H-E-B, that's a food store, by the way, if you're in Chicago. It's like a Jewel. H-E-B employees get a special discount coming up for 25% off, so I will be stocking up. All right, very good. Yeah, get all the brisket you can. And then sell it to like Franklin's down there in Austin because they're going to be looking for discount brisket. Might go ahead and purchase that deep freezer to really stock up. Yeah. All right. But wait till after we do the story, right? Don't just go, spending all that money because, I'm sitting here freeballing it. I'll read you the story. I'll give you the facts, and then you make your decision on whether or not to spend all your money on brisket. Oh, a guy who streams to like 15 people said that I should take the money out of the college fund and just buy brisket. And then it all went bad. And now I got nothing. All right. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention here. We will get into shit. Don't worry. We'll get into topics. Another thing I wanted to mention here that I watched last night. I watched the first couple of episodes. It's new on Netflix. It's called Michael Jackson, The Verdict. It is a 3-part, maybe 4. I don't know. I think it's 3. It is a a new 3-part docuseries on the Michael Jackson molestation trial from the early 2000s. Now, I was not excited about this new docuseries because I feel like I lived the whole Michael Jackson experience. I feel like I remember it pretty much, the important details. And I know what I think. And this is like, watching another documentary on OJ, right? I'm like, yeah, I get it. So I wasn't excited about the Michael Jackson thing, but for some reason I just popped it on and I know what it was. I was eating, I was cooking and I'm like, I need something on in the background. And I just popped it on and it hooked me. It hooked me. And I watched like the first 2 episodes. I'll watch the last episode. See, I didn't feel bad bailing before watching the last episode because I know how I remember I know how it turned out. Like that's all. Anyway, episode one of this 3-part Michael Jackson The Verdict new docuseries on Netflix. Episode 1. I don't know what I really felt before watching episode 1. Like, I'm a little confused now. Like, I'll put it to you this way. After watching episode 1, Michael Jackson was a fucking monster. And I don't know that I ever felt that way before. He was fucked up. That guy was, there were things revealed from the investigation that I know I heard about, but I have no idea why they didn't resonate with me as being as important and as damning to him as they seem now. For instance, we all laughed, right? Michael used to give the kids Jesus juice. That was wine. He called wine Jesus juice. He did. He did that. He used to get the kids drunk. That's not even in dispute. He did the Martin Bashir interview, which I don't remember at all, but it's a big part of this documentary, especially episode 1. When he was first accused, he did an interview, a sit-down interview with Martin Bashir, the British journalist who is known for these really intense one-on-one. He's famous for the Princess Diana interview, where she revealed that there were 3 people in her marriage, Camilla, Charles, and her. Anyway, Martin Bashir sits down with Michael Jackson, and I mean, I remember there was an interview, but I don't remember Michael Jackson saying the things that he said. And yet here I am in 2026 watching this interview, and I'm like, wait, he said that? Wait, he said that on TV? We knew that? Like, there's a scene from this interview where Michael has a kid with him, Gavin, a young teen who Michael has helped through his cancer battle. And now Gavin is in remission, and Gavin is sitting really uncomfortably close to Michael. And this is really happening. We're seeing this. This is the interview from Martin Bashir. And Gavin has his hand on Michael's thigh, and then Gavin rests his head on Michael's shoulder. It is boyfriend and girlfriend. That is what we are looking at in this interview. And then Michael freely offers that Gavin and him sleep together in the same bed. Offers it. Like, Michael was so completely self-unaware of how fucked up this whole thing was. He says to Martin Bashir, and then, I had to convince him to sleep with me. And then there's like a scene on camera where the kid, Gavin himself, says, yeah, Michael was like, Michael says, there's nothing wrong with the kids sleeping in my bed because all the kids want to sleep in my bed. All the kids, when they come here, they're like, Michael, please, can I sleep in your bed? Michael, please, can I sleep in your bed? Then they throw it to Gavin. And Gavin goes, I don't know. At first, I didn't want to. But Michael was like, and Gavin looks at Michael on camera and says that this is what Michael said to him. Michael said to me, if you really loved me, you'd sleep in my bed. That happened. That happened. I don't know how I didn't connect all of this stuff, but I feel like I've been going through the last 24 years giving Michael Jackson a break. I feel like I've been going around going, we really don't know if he did anything. And the music is so, fuck that. We know that he did this shit. We know that he did this shit because the kid Gavin from that interview, who Michael had saved from cancer, who told the documentary film crew on camera, who said, I didn't want to sleep in bed with him, but Michael said if I really loved him, I would, and so I did. That kid is the kid who years later brought these charges. Remember when he had to go to court and he had Mia Mesereau and Michael climbed up on top of the car and started dancing with all the free Michael Jackson people? It was fucking weird. Okay. That was the kid from years before who sat down with Michael in the Martin Bashir. The charges came from that kid and his brother, who now years later were like, yeah, he was really doing some shit. So here's another piece of evidence. And I went, wow. So we see the video of the kid talking to a psychologist. And the kid is basically asked, did Michael ever show you any pornography or anything like this? And the kid goes, yeah, all the time. Michael had pornography. And they said, oh, where? Because again, the psychologist is thinking we're going to get a warrant. And if the kid is saying that Michael has this pornography that he's showing to kids, let's go find it. Now, I don't think Michael Jackson's into porn, right? We give him that break too. We're like, no, he's just a special person. He's just like a ferryman. He's not really into sex or sexual or whatever. So when you hear about Michael Jackson's got a bunch of porn, I remember I'm like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't even like sex, right? That's what he was able to sort of fucking mesmerize all of us into thinking. So we see the interview with the psychologist, and the kid describes, yeah, Michael's got a black briefcase that he keeps all of this porn in. And they're like, where does he keep the briefcase? So when the warrant was served at Neverland and they went in and they took out all of this stuff, guess what they found? They found a black briefcase filled with porn exactly where the kid says Michael stashes it in the bedroom where the kids all play together. Michael fucking Jackson was looking at porn with little kids. That's a fact. And all the cops knew it. The cops were like, fuck. And yet, for some reason, that didn't make it into the narrative. We're all distracted by the funny name Jesus juice. Well, no, he was getting them drunk. He was making them drink Jesus juice. Juice that would bring them closer to Jesus. God, Michael Jackson was weird. Just weird. And there's nothing wrong with this. Anyway, if you need to see it, I have been giving that dude a pass. You know, I'm still about separate the art from the artist. You can still, if I got a couple drinks in me, you know, I can still probably enjoy, some early 80s Michael Jackson. But I'll tell you, from now on, whenever I hear a Michael Jackson song, I think the main thing's going to be this fucking guy. Fucking good he's dead. Good that he's dead. It's good that he died in such a bizarre fucking way because he was a bad guy. And it appears that he was a bad guy for a lot of years. I mean, we're learning all of this stuff now. Maybe we look at this kind of shit through a different lens because of the Epsteins, because of over in England, the Jimmy Savile situation. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But we have always heard from the conspiracy corners that there are these incredibly degenerate circles of highly elite people who are doing these things. And we're always like, whatever, crazy conspiracy. And now slowly over time, we're starting to see examples. The Mr. Rogers of England was one of their greatest serial rapists in history. Child sex. The Mr. Rogers. That's Jimmy Savile. And then Epstein. And we got a president who's linked to this stuff. And now we hear about, look, I still don't think that Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg are running a child pornography ring out of their garage. I still think that's a bridge too far. But Michael Jackson. All right, so here's another thing. So one more thing from it that really kind of was eye-opening to me about Michael Jackson. So Michael Jackson, when Neverland Ranch got raided, when the warrant was served and then there was a warrant for the arrest of Michael Jackson issued, Michael Jackson was in the wind. They didn't know where he was. Turns out he was in Vegas, hopping from hotel to hotel, trying to stay one step ahead of everybody while his legal team worked on a surrender. That was how this was done. So Michael Jackson, while he was on the lam in Vegas, had a party in his hotel room. Now, isn't this weird? Because I don't think of Michael Jackson as part of the... Michael Jackson, did he drink? Well, I don't know. He gave the kids Jesus juice, but I don't know if he drank. Michael Jackson drank alcohol, like a lot, where people were like, yeah, he's probably an alcoholic because he mixes his alcohol with pills and he's always like just a little bit not there. Like, I never really thought about that with Michael Jackson. I thought that he was a Jehovah's Witness, right? Oh, Michael Jackson's endorsing Pepsi, and he can't endorse Pepsi because he's a Jehovah's Witness, and they don't cut into any drugs, and Pepsi has the drug sugar. There's a big thing. No. Turns out that Michael Jackson used to walk around with a Pepsi cup filled with rum. Just drink. I didn't know that. So back to the party. So Michael's in Vegas. And he knows that his lawyers are working on a negotiation so that he'll turn himself in on these charges there in Santa Barbara County or wherever it was. And he throws a party in his hotel room. And one of the people at this party, because why not? They're partying with Michael Jackson, recorded it. Like, and you hear audio recording. Like you hear. Now, who's Michael partying with? A whole bunch of German college dudes. No chicks. It's just Michael and a whole bunch of German college dudes. That's who Michael's partying with. I don't know what happened. Who knows? I'd love to talk to some of those German college dudes back then. But, you hear audio and then there's pictures and they talk to the hotel, like the hotel staff. They literally interviewed the hotel staff. Michael Jackson's room, they're like, oh, it's just filled with cigarettes everywhere. Michael Jackson smoked. Did you know that? It was filled with cigarettes, beer bottles, alcohol everywhere. Michael Jackson threw a rager with a bunch of 19-year-old German college kids. It's just weird, man. I just have, after the first episode, I've watched the first two. There's three. Again, we're talking about Michael Jackson, The Verdict. I've watched the first two episodes, and I just have a completely different way of looking at that guy now. He was really protected. There was really a brand that we all bought into, the Elephant Man bones and all that weird shit that was all by design so that we would just have excuses for mercurial behaviors. And behind all that, he was doing some real degenerate shit. He was a real piece of garbage, Michael Jackson. And you know how I know this is all true? Here's how I know this is all true. Because we're talking about Netflix. We're talking about the Jackson family. And if the Jackson family felt that there was any legal recourse for anything that is reported or said in this Netflix report, you better believe that the estate of Michael Jackson would have. They didn't. They didn't, because the problem is, yes, you can bring a lawsuit about anything to anybody, but you got to prove it. And they don't want discovery. So the Jackson family's inaction, the fact that Netflix and Netflix's attorneys are comfortable enough putting this thing out, you better believe it's true. Or at the very least, you better believe that the Jackson family doesn't want to push the issue and open this can of worms anymore. That's what it tells me. All right, so I highly recommend it. We'll see it. What's this? We got somebody mad about the whole Mr. Rogers comp. Imagine if Mr. Rogers offered camera time for favors. That was Jimmy Savile. Yeah, man. Yeah, there is a terrific, one of the most incredibly creepy documentaries I've ever seen. It's my guy, who's my nerdy British guy, my BBC guy. Justin Theroux. Is that him? Yeah, Justin Theroux. Justin Theroux has a Jimmy Savile documentary that is unbelievable. It was at the end of Jimmy Savile's life. Jimmy Savile is an icon of British popular culture. Jimmy Savile, it's at the end of his life. All of these rumors about him being a pedo are starting to percolate. People are starting to talk. And for some reason, Jimmy Savile granted Louis Theroux unprecedented access to his life. And man, is it good, because Louis Theroux is hanging out with this guy, and Louis Theroux believes these pedo rumors. And, he's directly asking him, and the answers aren't good. And it's just, anyway, it's pretty great. So if you've never seen that, that's terrific. I don't know what it's called. Just Google search Justin Theroux, Jimmy Savile. Seriously, I don't need to be that specific. It's a Google world we live in. Adam says there's still a mystique around Michael Jackson. It's why the movie did so well. Oh, well, of course. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that I'm reminded of watching this Michael Jackson thing. We saw it. We witnessed it. We existed in a time when there were a lot of celebrities. Arnold, Madonna, right? Sly, Stallone, Bon Jovi. I don't know. We lived in a time where there were a lot of celebrities. Michael was the top. Michael was the most famous celebrity of our lifetime in the 1980s and 90s. And there's been a few of these kinds of people over the years. I think that there was a moment in time when Frank Sinatra, with the Bobby Soxer movement in the World War II era, just pre-World War II, he was a phenomena. Elvis Presley was a phenomena. The Beatles were a phenomena. Michael Jackson was a phenomena. He's in league with those guys. He's in league with Elvis and the Beatles and Frank and Michael, right? And that's one of the things I was reminded of. I'm like, fuck, he's just way more famous than everybody else. And I wonder, like, do other generations realize how famous he was? And we don't really have fame like that anymore. Like Prince walked on water in that era, but Prince wasn't as big as Michael. Prince was just under Michael. Madonna was right there hanging around with him too, but neither Prince or Madonna were Michael Jackson. He was a thing, and I don't know that we'll see that again. I know that we have Taylor Swift, and she has come probably the closest to the whole Michael Jackson vibe. BTS, right? Now, I don't have any idea who BTS is. I know they're a Korean boy band, but the very fact that I know that much about them tells me that they have broken through at a level that, is rare. Which is why it's good for Netflix to put it out now. Anybody see that Michael Jackson movie? I got to be honest, I have no interest in seeing that Michael Jackson movie, especially now. After watching the Netflix thing, I have no interest in seeing a movie that portrays Michael Jackson from the perspective of the Jackson family, because that's the other thing I learned about this Netflix special series. I don't even know if it's a special. The Jackson family will do whatever it takes. When this was all going down, when Michael was being arrested and, all this stuff, the Jackson family, like Jermaine and all these people, their main thing was, how is this going to affect our tour? Because they were about to do a Jackson family tour. The family didn't give a shit about Michael potentially going to jail, or God forbid that he is an actual pedophile. And what do we do now? No. All the Jackson family seemed to care about was that, how is this going to affect our upcoming tour? It really did not come off well. So I understand that they're behind the Jackson film, or at least they're okay with it. If I'm wrong about that, then maybe I do have an interest in seeing it. No, it's like the guy playing Michael is a Jackson, right? Isn't it like Marlon's kid or something? I don't know. Adam says, and I guess he's talking about Taylor Swift, she won't ever get to Michael Jackson level because she doesn't truly break the black barrier. MJ was able to do both. Taylor Swift is white. I don't know. I mean, what is breaking? It's a very, I don't know. I think there's probably some girls out there today, 18, 19-year-old girls, who will argue this. Again, they weren't there for Michael. We're here for both. I think Michael was more of a phenomena than Taylor Swift is. But it's also different. Michael became Michael because of gatekeepers. See, once again, it was the industry who decided that he was going to be the one. Now, it also happened that he made some really great albums that, crossed over every sort of genre. But, it's different now. Like Taylor Swift, she could just put a song up on YouTube, or not Taylor. The next Taylor Swift can just put a song up on YouTube. There is no gatekeeping. The amount of people they can reach is not limited by what record stores have agreed to carry. It's not. It's just the opportunity to be bigger, I think, is more now. I don't know. That's interesting. As a cultural phenomena, I certainly do not think that Taylor Swift is as big as Michael Jackson was, but I wonder if in sheer success, and of course you'd have to, adjust Michael's earnings versus Taylor, Michael's peak earnings against Taylor. I mean, adjust for inflation and all that, but I'd like to know. I'd like, because Michael was making a lot of money back in 1985, 1986, whatever it was. So what did Taylor Swift make in 2025? And let's adjust that for inflation. And go ahead, someone get on that, because it ain't gonna be me. All right. All right. What do you say we get started here? I was gonna start with a little conversation about Frank. Frank, is he in the chat room? I don't know if Frank's in the chat room. Frank thinks Kaylin Collins needs to smile more. Frank sent me a thing on Twitter, and he has a clip of Kaylin Collins from like 10 years ago or something. I didn't even recognize her. She's far prettier now. But I guess Trump and Caitlin Collins got into a fight again. Whatever. I don't know. What is she, the new Acosta? Is that what we're doing? And so Frank asked me, he said, why is Caitlin Collins so frowny? I just thought that was funny. I'm like, well, I don't know, Frank. If you ever see Caitlin Collins, maybe you should say you should smile more. Because women love that. Women love. I sent back to Frank. I go, Frank, go around today and just whenever you see a girl that's not smiling, just say you should smile more. Just say that to every girl that you see today. All right. All right. What are the big news stories? Let's see. Let me get you caught up on what the big news stories are. We'll riff on those just a little bit. Hold on. That's not it. Sorry, I lost my page. I got signed out. Hold on. I got signed out again. Why would this happen? Sorry. Boy, we're really kind of freeballing this show today, huh? I mean, we are way off schedule. I'm just talking. We're just kind of riffing. All right, run through big stories. Let's see. So the temporary Attorney General, Todd Blanche, he's the guy that's replacing Pam Biondi, remember? Todd Blanche, if you don't know who he is, he's the guy that's really friendly with Ghislaine Maxwell. He's the guy that arranged it so that Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't have to live in a maximum security prison that, most global sex traffickers have to stay in. No, she got moved. Todd Blanche moved her to a minimum security, all women's. It's like a hippie commune. That's where they got her after Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche made that deal with her after she wrote a note officially to Congress saying Trump didn't do nothing. Yeah, and then just a couple days later, she got moved to a really nice place. I'm sure those things aren't related. Anyway, that guy, Todd Blanche, because he seems on the up and up, he is now, let's see here, President Trump has announced plans to officially nominate Todd Blanche to the post of Attorney General of the United States. You can announce anything. This guy it is not going to be a smooth confirmation from this guy. There's going to be a lot of Ghislaine Maxwell talk. So we've got that to look forward to. Also, the Congress did a thing about the Iran war. Right? Congress, it's like a ceremonial thing. It doesn't mean anything, but Congress apparently they got together and they said Trump can't do what he wants, even though technically Trump can still do whatever he wants. But this Congress is now officially on record, what with the midterms looming. A whole bunch of them are now going to be able to go back to their constituencies and say, I said we needed to end the war. Our Congress doesn't do anything except attempt to get reelected. That's all. That's all Congress does. John Bolton, old mustache Sweeney. He's got that crazy. John Bolton has made a deal. Apparently, they came after him. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton has reached a plea deal to plead guilty in a classified documents case, facing a $2.25 million fine. All right. What else do they have here in the big stories? Russell Wilson retired, but we'll get into that. We were already going to talk about that. And there was a basketball game last night. Congratulations. New York Knicks go up 1-0 over the San Antonio Spurs, but we're going to talk more about that later as well. All right, let's see. What do I want to get into here? What are the stories? Ebola is still a thing. I mean, if you want like real news, you can go elsewhere. Let's see. Oh, here's something. Watch this. So we've been talking about this story for a while here as it pertains to Chicago Bears stadium issue, right? Chicago Bears, we want a new stadium. And I'm like, we've got a kick-ass stadium, but okay, whatever. We want a dome. Okay, whatever. So they want to build their own thing, and they want to be able to make all the money, because right now the Bears play in a stadium that is owned by the city of Chicago. That means whenever there's a concert at Soldier Field, like, really cool big concerts, the Bears don't get any of that. Now, the trend in the NFL is for owners to own their own stadiums and be able to turn them into a 365 resource, an income, a revenue stream, concerts, all kinds of stupid shit. that wasn't always the idea. Back in the day, owners saw these buildings as an albatross because we didn't have the sort of entertainment industry that we have now. And the owners decided that it was in the team's best interest to make the city pay and own them. So that's why back in the day, you had all of these teams that played in places called, the something county coliseum or whatever. They were all deals made with states because the owners thought that was better. Well, now the NFL is a big money league, and there are opportunities around every corner. So NFL owners understand that their teams can anchor a location, a mega project location with a new stadium that isn't just 10 games a year, which is essentially what a team will play in their home stadium. But there are now 365 entertainment things. So the Chicago Bears want that. They purchased land in a far north suburb, and they said, we want to build here. The state of Illinois was like, well, it's going to be expensive. And they're like, but we're the Bears. And the state of Illinois said, we don't really care. You guys can go kick rocks. So enter Northwest Indiana, right across the street, State Line Road, from the southeast side of Chicago. It is right there on the southeast side of Chicago, but technically it's in Indiana on the lakefront. They step up and they say, we'll give you everything you want, Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears are like, oh, look at them. They want us. I can go home with them right now. I can get laid right now with Hammond, Indiana if we want. And the state of Illinois panicked a little and went, okay, we can't lose the team to Indiana. So the state of Illinois said, hold on, Bears, maybe we'll do something for you. So it took about 3 months, and the state of Illinois just last week, Sunday, came back to the Chicago Bears and said, yeah, never mind. We can't help you. So now the Chicago Bears are like, okay, so we're not going to get the deal we want in Arlington. So we're just going to go over here to Indiana. Hey, Illinois, we're going over here to Indiana. All right. Bears don't want to go to Indiana. They really don't want to go to Indiana. They want Illinois to give them everything that they want so that they can build their cash machine there in the north suburbs. I, as a resident of Illinois, I'm like, fuck you. Your team is going to be worth $10 billion. The owner of the team just died. And your team was like $10 billion. This will be the first $10 billion franchise. And you idiots decided that you were going to hold on to it because you wanted to build a stadium because you think you could turn this into a $100 billion thing in the next 50 years. Stupid. So now they got it, and they're worth $10 billion, and they need some kind of tax break in order to be able to do this right, which is bullshit. And the state of Illinois said, the fuck you. You're billionaires. Build your shit, man. We'll give you the infrastructure. So that's the argument going on. Enter the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago screwed the pooch here. The Bears would love to stay in Chicago. The Bears would love a new stadium right next to the old stadium if they could pull that off. But there are problems with the city of Chicago. And, everybody's always got to complain about something. So those discussions have stalled. However, the Bears are now stuck with Indiana being the only viable choice. City of Chicago has stepped up. The mayor of the city of Chicago said last week, before the Illinois state legislature held their final vote, the mayor of Chicago said last week, oh, hey, just so you guys all know, we're still talking, the city of Chicago, to the Bears. This isn't just about Arlington or Northwest Indiana. City of Chicago is still a player. So as soon as the mayor of Chicago said that, every delegate from the city of Chicago who was being counted on to pass a yay vote, making the Bears okay to get their tax breaks in the suburbs, all of the delegates from the city of Chicago suddenly, after the mayor said we're still in it, went, we're voting no! And so the deal died. Now, Crafty, like the mayor, look, no delegate from Chicago is going to vote for something that is going to ultimately lead to the Bears leaving Chicago. Now, they were willing to vote for it when they didn't think there was any chance the Bears were going to stay in Chicago. But again, a couple of days before, the mayor of Chicago said, we're still in it. So then they all pulled their votes and it failed. So the mayor of Chicago is being roundly questioned by everybody. Like, what do you mean you're still in it? And so he went on a local sports radio show yesterday. The mayor of Chicago was a very big deal. A lot of people were tuned in for it because he hadn't really spoken on the subject. And the question was essentially, so Mayor Johnson, it's Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor Johnson, you said last week that you're still in it, that you're still talking to the Bears. When was the most recent conversation with the Bears? And he said 5 weeks ago. No! No, dude. So the mayor of Chicago torpedoed the deal for the Bears to move to Arlington. I don't know why. Maybe he does. Maybe it is a Hail Mary. Maybe he does think that there is still a deal to be made. But anyway, he went on radio yesterday, and this man, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, this guy is so, who was it? I referred to somebody earlier today as being just completely self-unaware. Anyway, Brandon Johnson is such a terrible politician. Let me listen to the story that he told. He told this story on the radio yesterday here in Chicago about going to a Bears game. Okay, here, this comes from the Score Sports Radio, WSCR. This is the mayor of the city of Chicago. And by the way, remember, he is on here. He is on here trying to present himself as a Bears fan who's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that the Bears stay in the city of Chicago. Like, that's his whole vibe. Listen to this fucking story that he tells and how self-unaware he is, because he is being hammered today. This did not go well for him. Now, you tell me if you can pinpoint what he said wrong here. Here he is.
Getting in and out of Soldier Field is an absolute nightmare. Let me tell you how bad it is. Bears versus Packers. I'm at the game. We're losing. I decide to leave to beat the traffic. Before I get out of the footprint, the Bears had come back to win. The ingress, egress part, that's what we have to fix. In the other locations.
All right, did you hear that? Did you hear this fucking self-unaware, terrible politician on a sports radio station tell an entire city of Bears fans that during a Bears-Packers playoff game, he fucking left early to beat traffic? Oh my God, is he taking a beating? I mean, forget about all the other shit. But this has got to be one of the worst political own goals that I have seen at the city level ever. He talked about it in a way that is so detached from the average man. No Bear fan is ever leaving a Bears-Packers playoff game early. And by the way, that was one of the tremendous Caleb Williams comebacks that this stupid fucking mayor missed. One more time, he is telling this story like there's nothing wrong with it. Like, this is just, what we do. Here he goes.
Getting in and out of Soldier Field is an absolute nightmare. Let me tell you how bad it is. Bears versus Packers. I'm at the game. We're losing. I decide to leave to beat the traffic.
All right, that's all we need to hear from him. Holy shit. Anyway, total self-unaware. Let's see what else. Here's an interesting story. Okay, let's talk about this. So there's a new study out. Concerns anybody born after 1970. That's a lot of you. Not me. I just got in under the cut. I'm fine. I got nothing to worry about. If you were born after 1970, according to a new study, a very big study, if you were born after 1970, you're going to die soon. You're going to die soon. There's something wrong with you people. Science has determined that there is something wrong with this generation that was born after 1970 and how they're seeing their lives play out. You guys are dying at a much higher clip of cancers and cardiovascular disease, all kinds, heroin addictions and overdoses. That certainly is a factor. Suicide, all of these things. And this study, here, I'll break it down for you. Everything, by the way, started to go downhill in the 1950s. So it's not like anybody born before 1970 escapes this. But here, I'll read this to you. Americans born after 1970 are dying faster than previous generations did at their age. Now, that doesn't mean that if you were born in 1974, you don't have any shot at living to 105, right? Of course you do. But what this study is saying, that this particular generation, when they turn 40 or 30, they are getting diseases and dying at a much higher rate than people who turned 40 after being born in like 1950 or whatever, right? So at the same stage of life, people born after 1970 are far more likely to die from shit than people born. All right, we'll read it. I know it's confusing, but we'll go through it. Because I don't know what this could be. I mean, obviously they say that pills and addiction and the addiction crisis. That's one of the things that other generations maybe didn't have to deal with. But they also talk about obesity, about how we started eating, and they can actually trace it all the way back to 1950. 1950 is when people started succumbing to these diseases in their 40s and 50s at a rate never seen before. It just so happens that the group born after 1970 is setting new records, but it started to look bad in the 1950s. It's or not in the 1950s for people born after 1950. And what do you think the difference there is? The difference there is between 1960 and 1990, we ate like shit. The worst. Diabetes skyrocketed, obesity skyrocketed, everything was processed, everything was pre-made and pre-cooked and microwavable. Your grandparents didn't eat like that. Your grandparents had a carrot and a piece of meat. That's how they ate. Everything wasn't pre-processed. Everything with the grocery stores weren't, 50 aisles of a million items. No, you ate, you went, you got chicken and you cooked and you ate it and you chopped vegetables and you ate it. That all changed in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Supermarket culture and the way we processed food, the way we ruined ourselves. There weren't fat people the way there are fat people now. Think about if you were a kid in the 1970s, think about, you never saw old fat people. You saw old men with pot bellies and stuff like that, and you saw heavyset women. But in 1975, you didn't go to a grocery store and see 5 people that needed scooters because they couldn't walk. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But here, okay, so we'll read this. In a nutshell, it says Americans that are born after 1970 are already dying at a higher rate from heart disease, cancer, and external causes than people born before them were dying at the same ages. Can I read that again? You want to wrap your mind around that again? Because I know, okay. Americans born after 1970 are already dying at a higher rate from heart disease, cancer, and external causes than people born before them were dying at the same ages. A pattern that researchers call alarming, given how many years these cohorts still have ahead of them. So what they're saying is this ain't good because the ones that are not dying, they're just living with a garbage life experience for the next 50 years because they might live to be 90, but they're getting sick at 50, and this is kind of their life for the next 40 years. A separate nationwide deterioration in death rates began in 2010. Hit nearly every living adult. Okay, I don't even know what that means. Americans born in the 1950s. Okay, here you go. Americans born in the 1950s marked the generational turning point. Cohorts are like Gen X, Boomer, Millennial. Those are called cohorts. Cohorts age further. Research. Americans born in the 1950s marked the generational turning point. Cohorts born before them, cohorts born before the 1950s, cohorts born before them tended to show steadily improving survival rates, while every generation since has fared progressively worse across. So this is boomers. So let's just put it this way, we understand. Boomers is where the slide began. Boomers were the first generation that was raised on, Kraft macaroni and cheese. Let's see here. Researchers warn that if current trends continue as post-1970 cohorts age further, the United States could face an unprecedented long-running stagnation or even a substantial decline in overall life expectancy. That's the other thing. This is America. This isn't like globally. This is Americans born. We're not eating well, guys. It's just about what we're eating. I mean, guys, do you know that like for 20 years of my life, I probably drank 8 fully leaded Coca-Colas a day? Remember Coca-Cola used to come in those 8-packs? Remember? 8-packs. No fucking diet bullshit for me. We buy those full 8-packs of Coca-Cola. I would drink those 8 in a day and a half. And it was normal. When we were out, we're out working out, we're tired, we need something. Oh my God, we need something. We need something to rehydrate. There was no Gatorade. Yeah, the joke is we drink out of the hose. Well, we would drink out of the hose because the hose was right there and handy. When we came home, we were exhausted after a workout. We opened a cold Coca-Cola. Or maybe we poured us a big old glass of Kool-Aid. That's who we are. My kid, I was telling my mom, I don't buy bottled water, right? I think I am of the age where I go to a grocery store and I see a bottled water case for whatever. I'm like, that is an absurd cost that nobody needs. Bottled water. We got water in a tap. You want it cold? We'll put it in a picture and stick it in the fridge. You can have cold water out of the fridge. What the? We're buying bottle. I said to my mom, I go, I got to figure out a way to trick my kid. Because my kid drinks plastic water in bottles. He's like, he'll go through. They've got like cases of it at his house. And there's just always endless bottles of water. And it's this kind of shit. He'll pull out a bottle of water, like a Pollen Spring or something, open it, take 2 drinks, put it down on the counter and walk away. And it's like, the waste is unbelievable. We have a faucet, man. Just drink out of the fucking faucet. We're paying for that too. So I told my mom, I go, we're going to have to trick him. We're going to have to trick him because I am not buying bottled water. I'm not going to, I'm not going to have like a $50 a month bottled water expense. So I'm like, we got to trick him. So I asked my mom yesterday, I'm like, did we used to have my mom used to have one of those Brita filter things. I don't even need it to work. I just need to fill the Brita pitcher with water and stick it in the fridge. And he can just drink out of there. And I'm like, that's filtered. And he won't ask questions. He'll be fine with it. Anyway, point is this. These new generations, Gen Z, super healthy. They do not, millennial parents do not feed Gen Zers garbage the way we were fed. The millennials were fed garbage too. Gen X, we were fed garbage. Boomers grew up eating garbage, right? Normalized garbage. Easy food. It's easy. It's not nutritious. It's got all kinds of chemicals and shit to preserve this shit. I saw a video the other day, and I've seen it before. Have you guys ever seen this video? It's where somebody takes a gallon or a half gallon or whatever of like grocery store vanilla ice cream, right? They take it out of the freezer and then they just open it and put it on the counter, like slide it all out. So you got this big block of like vanilla ice cream from a quart just on the counter. And then they do the time lapse and it never fucking melts. It never melts. I mean, it gets a little melty, a little messy, but it never melts completely. It never loses its shape after like 10 hours. That's not how ice cream is supposed to behave. And that's been normalized for us. We're like, yeah, that's fine. You know those ice cream sandwiches that are so delicious? I'll tell you, that is the best summertime value. Those freeze pops in the little plastic tubes, you get like 1,000 of them for 20 cents. That's a good buy. But also the ice cream sandwiches, the little ice cream sandwiches at your local Kroger or wherever you go, that's another great summertime buy. Those are really cheap. They ain't ice cream. That's not ice cream. I don't know. Sure, it tastes good. And that's how it's been normalized because we're like, well, I'm sure it does terrible things to me, but it is delicious. Those things are delicious. But it ain't ice cream. Those things do not melt. That's another example. You can leave one of those on a picnic table on the 4th of July for 6 hours and you come back. It's going to be a little messy, but it will still have held its shape. It's not normal. Ice cream is supposed to melt. Adam says, this is the one and only part I agree with RFK on. He's against processed and ultra processed food. He's not wrong about everything. I got issues. He doesn't seem, he's not trustworthy. Like, the Kennedys. I mean, first of all, not trustworthy people. Couple of them maybe, but rank and file Kennedys are pretty scandalous individuals. Anyway, he is right about, we do eat like shit. And, he has been eating a certain way for a very long time. And it is undeniable that for a guy who's like, 96, he looks amazing. He does. He looks good. He's all buff and all that shit. He's like 70, right? He's 70 something. So he eats a certain way. He's right about that. But that shouldn't make him qualified, to be the job that he's got. Anyway, Barney says in the 70s, they convinced us the food we were eating wasn't heart healthy. Truth was, it was the smoking. Yeah, look, both can be true, Barn, right? I mean, the food we were eating in the 70s was not heart healthy. Nothing was. It got better in the 80s because we started to realize that the unchecked craziness of the 1960s and the 1970s, you guys, this all coincided with, consumer choice, capitalism, the boom, America of the 1950s, where the suburbs sprung up. The supermarket, that was never a thing. Like, it's not like in 1920 you could go to the supermarket. No, there were like corner stores and, bodegas in big cities and stuff. These supermarkets sprung out of the suburban sprawl of post-war America. And the supermarket was big and they could put every product. And once they realized that people enjoyed walking in a store where they had endless choices, they gave them even more choices. And it was just all the processed and crank it out. And we normalized eating conveniently. It became so convenient to eat. Do you know what people in like the 1850s had to go through to taste chocolate? That's just the real basic example of what I'm talking about here. You could live your entire life. You could be born in 1830 and live your entire life and never have a piece of chocolate. Meanwhile, I'm a fat kid in the 80s just cramming endless chocolate into my face because suddenly it's easy and it's available everywhere. And we don't stop ourselves. We didn't stop ourselves with the food choices. As soon as food stopped being, what are we eating, and turned into, what do I have a taste for, we destroyed ourselves because, once again, we the people cannot control our worst instincts. I'm just going to eat ice cream for breakfast. That's kind of how I've lived the last 30 years of my life. And it's no different now. I say that when we point to Gen Z and about how, I think that they're ruined. Why? Because their version of, it went from what are we having to what do I want? Their version of that is with digital media. I talked about it yesterday when I said I was 7 years old watching Rich Man, Poor Man. It was about what was on. I consumed and learned from and was exposed to whatever was on. When I was a kid, I couldn't just pull up 1,000 channels and go, what appeals to me specifically? But that's how it was with food. Food, the same thing. We were suddenly able to just eat garbage all the time, and they kept it affordable, the eating of the garbage. And now we have, 15 people on scooters at Walmart every Saturday. And people born after 1970 are dying. They're dying quicker of things that other people, I don't even know exactly how to word that, but you get the point. You can Google it. Just Google it. Just go to Google if you want to know and you want to sort of read that story for yourself. Born after 70, dying sooner. Just Google that. It'll come up. It's a study. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Should we do the super rich or okay? So this is kind of a funny little bitch fight that's going on. So apparently the millionaires in this country, millionaires are starting to get a little bit angry at the billionaires. Because we're talking about the stock market and who's benefiting from, this, we keep hearing, the stock market's doing great. We're talking about, who's reaping the benefits of all of this. And we have millionaires who are just the richest guys we know. Normal people, the richest guy, the guy who owns the company you work for or whatever. He's a millionaire guy. He's pretty, that guy, You don't have to worry about another day of his life. That guy, you should see his summer home in Wisconsin. It's beautiful. He just got a new boat. That guy, I'm here to tell you, that guy's a fucking peasant compared to real rich people. The rich people that we know, the richest guy in our neighborhood, the guy that we all look up to, that guy, oh, he's got 2 bars he owns. He's got a restaurant. He's got a resort in Wisconsin. Oh, he's killing it. That guy ain't nothing compared to the likes of the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses and all that. So I think sometimes from our working class perch, I don't know that we really make the distinction between really rich guys and fucking absurdly rich guys. Well, you know who does make that distinction? Fucking rich guys. The fucking rich guys are starting to have had just about enough of the fucking absurdly rich guys. Yeah, a little bit of a fight going on here. Estimated wealth among high net worth individuals grows globally. The booming stock market is making a lot of folks richer, especially those who are already spectacularly rich. This comes from a new report out of the consulting firm Capgemini on Thursday. All right, so basically what's happening is, yes, the people who are players in the stock market are definitely making money, but the people who are really making money are the people who are like billionaires, the super billionaire set. Whereas the everyday rank and file players, the successful stock market player, who's a very comfortable millionaire, a very comfortable guy, drives a fancy German car, flies first class everywhere, that guy, that guy's not really seeing the same level of benefits that apparently the very rich are. This, according to this new study, once again, by the consulting firm Capgemini. Among those who invest in stocks and other kinds of financial assets, there is a growing wealth divide. What's worth noting, at a time when more regular folk are putting their money into the markets, while those who aren't invested are seeing the value of their incomes erode with higher inflation. Okay, so they're saying more people are being drawn to the markets because that's better than not being in the market, especially in these inflationary times. Put your money to work for you, that whole thing. What they're saying is that those people are not really enjoying the benefits to the extent that they think they should be. Globally, ultra-high net worth individuals, those with $30 million or more invested in assets, saw their wealth increase over 10%. The so-called millionaire next door class, a distinct step down in economic power and growth within the market's margins, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they're less than 7%. All right, so for some reason, they're like, well, it's because they're putting more money in. I don't know. Anyway, this has set off a firestorm among a number of people. The super rich have more access to higher returning private equity and hedge funds and have been able to invest in private companies, especially the big AI hyperscalers, at a rate that the rest of us just do not have access to. They've also seen disproportionately higher returns from the stock market, the report finds. These folks, these super wealthy, have the ability to get early entries that the rest of us, the billion or the millionaire next door, would never be afforded, says Luca Rusignan, global head of Capgemini Research. All right, anyway, I just thought it was interesting that like some rich guys, the richest guys we know, are like really starting to get pissed at the really rich guys. That's how it starts. We need a class war among the upper class. Okay, what else do we have? Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the brisket crisis, right? Here's a big story. I wanted to get into this. Where did this story come from? Video barbecue owner, blah, blah, blah. Is it the New York? Yeah, okay. So this one came from the New York Post. I'll give you a little bit of a read here. For some reason, The Texas brisket crisis. The carnage comes as the domestic cattle herd has shrunk to its lowest level in roughly 75 years. Following years of drought, soaring feed prices, and mounting operational costs. Ground beef prices are up now more than 15% from just a year ago, while pit masters in Texas say wholesale brisket now routinely costs them about $6 a pound before smoking. That is the number. That's the number that April said, right? So the pit masters, I guess, who buy in bulk and probably aren't used to that being a good price, because when April offered that price, didn't April say that HEB had brisket for $6 a pound? I said, buy it all. Buy it all, because that's good for grocery store. These guys, the Texas pit masters, they probably would like to see that price cut in half. They buy in bulk. They buy way more than us, so they should get a bit more of a discount than. But that HEB price, man, that is, we made sure here now. So if the Texas pitmasters are saying that their briskets now routinely cost $6 a pound before smoking, trimming, and labor, forcing some restaurants to charge as much as $40 a pound just to stay afloat. Many in the industry see a time not far off when that's the $100. $100. It could go as high as $100, depending on demand. Here's a little video from Texas Pitmaster. He kind of explains what's going on with him with his business. Let's see here.
Years, and specifically,
hold on.
It has been.
All right. So this is a guy, Kirby's Barbecue. He says, this video is why I closed my barbecue restaurant. Here he is kind of explaining what he's going through. Everybody go out and get some barbecue, man. Save these barbecue restaurants. I am not shitting you. One of the great things about living in Texas is the level of elite barbecue that you can get just stumbling across a random strip mall. The absolute best barbecue that I've ever had in my life is a place called Smoky John's off Mockingbird and like Harry Hines, right behind a dirty bookstore. It is one of the skankiest looking places you have ever seen, Smoky John's. And it is the best barbecue I have ever had. Unbelievable. That's Texas. That is the glory of Texas food. When I lived down there, you could hear me any day of the week screaming about how you people don't know fucking pizza. I can't get a good pizza in this town. Well, I shut my mouth when the subject turns to tacos or barbecue, because those are the things that Dallas needs to completely anchor their culture to. Protect your barbecue places. Go buy some barbecue from some, mom and pop guy. All right, here's Kirby of Kirby's Barbecue. He's explaining why it is exactly that he's needing to close up his shop. All right.
And crazy, but better to look at. It has been crazy for barbecue restaurants in the state of Texas over the last couple of years, and specifically the last year or so has been wild. We've seen a lot of top 50 barbecue restaurants, top 50 runner-up restaurants, honorable mentions close, even though they've got the notoriety, even though they've got great food. They just have not been able to keep the doors open. And that's for a lot of different reasons. This isn't a video to complain, it's just to merely state the reasons why I chose to close my restaurant. And you'll see that it's very similar to what a lot of people that have closed theirs have said as well. So obvious one is the price of beef, absolutely insane. And with brisket being our biggest seller here in Texas, that is really weighing on our profit margins. Now, not only that, but the way the economy is right now, people are not able to frequent their favorite barbecue joints as much as they used to. When brisket costs $36 a pound for the consumer, and then you got ribs and sausage and sides and desserts and all that. For, even a couple of two people, you can easily be spending $70, $70 to $100 for barbecue.
Barbecue, like getting a big spread of barbecue. My son and I, we would do it every now and again, but it was a special occasion, because even in the best of times, getting enough barbecue to fill two hungry men's bellies, that's gonna be pricey, right? Especially when you get in there and you see the jalapeno sausage. You're like, I want a couple of links of that, chop it up real nice. Want a pound of the brisket. Oh, and then I want, it gets pricey. barbecue at its best is not insanely expensive. Like there's working man barbecue where you can get Smoky John's. I mentioned it, but Smoky John's is twice as expensive as McDonald's, So even in the best of times, barbecue, you should expect it to be a little bit more expensive than your random taco or hamburger joint. But man, $70. $70, again, he's even saying so you get some sausages with that and all that. But wow, that is.
That's just not something that most middle America can. Two people, you can easily be spending $70, $70 to $100 for barbecue. And that's just not something that most middle America can do as often as they would need to support most barbecue joints. Now, the other thing is the competition here is crazy fierce. If you're in a location like, say, Sacramento, California, or Provo, Utah, or something like that, and you don't have a lot of competition in the barbecue space, you're probably going to do pretty good. But when you are in Texas and it is just saturated by barbecue restaurants, it is slim pickings. The customer base that you have is being split between an unbelievable amount of barbecue restaurants, and it's just hard to make ends meet doing that way. Now,
all right, he's going to go on for a while anyway. It's an example of one guy who's closing his barbecue shop. Kirby's. Where was Kirby's barbecue? Where in Texas was Kirby's barbecue? Okay, Kirby's was located suburb of Houston. All right, New Caney, Texas. That's where that guy was coming to us from. Okay. What was I going to say? There was something that I was just like going to jump on. Oh yeah. So he talked about the competition for barbecue in Texas. The competition for barbecue and tacos in Texas is crazy. It reminds me of, I always tell you about my days in the Chicago pizza game. Yep. It reminds me of the idea that like when somebody comes to Chicago and they say, I want to get a good pizza. Where can you send me? Where can you send me for a good pizza? And especially if it's thin crust, right? If they're like, I want to try one of these Chicago tavern style pizzas, where can you send me for a good one? The honest answer that you can give that visitor to Chicago, if you're a Chicagoan, is whichever one is closest to you. Because Chicago doesn't have shitty pizza. There are people who make pizza a way that you might like it a little bit, but I prefer it a little bit more to this. But you can't get a bad tavern-style pizza in Chicago because places that serve bad tavern-style pizza in Chicago don't stay in business. They go out of business because there's a place across the street that makes it even better. So there are pizza places everywhere in Chicago, and I'll tell you, they're all good. The bad ones do not stay in business because there is too much competition. You get crushed if people decide that, your shit sucks. Every neighborhood's got their favorite. Everybody will, this is the best one because it's the one that I get. Whatever. All of it is essentially really good. A couple of minor differences. Sweet sauce, more of a spicy sauce or savory sauce, whatever. Those are the big difference. This place uses more cheese. This place uses less cheese, whatever. You can't get a bad pizza. I feel the same way about that with brisket in Texas. As somebody now, I have Texas friends who were raised on brisket. I was not. I was introduced to brisket after my 31st birthday or whatever. I was already 30. The first time that I had real Texas brisket and decided that it is one of the most delicious things that has ever been created. I didn't even know it was a thing. Here in Chicago, we have great barbecue. We like Brenner's, but it's black Southern pig barbecue. Right? It's a little bit different. I didn't even know there was such a thing as beef ribs until I moved to Texas in 2001. I was at a restaurant. We were taken out to dinner. It was one of our first dinners. We went to some big Texas barbecue restaurant. And I remember I decided that I wanted ribs and I ordered ribs and I said, can I just get a slab of ribs? And they were like, what? And I'm like, just a slab of ribs. Because when you grow up on pork ribs, that's how you get them. You get the whole slab of the pig's rib. I didn't realize I was ordering cow. And the woman's like, we can't bring you an entire rack of cow ribs. So that was my introduction to beef barbecue in the way Texas does it. And oh my God. First of all, Texas beef ribs, that's a steak with a handle. Why doesn't everybody do that? It's just a steak attached to a hand. You can just eat it. I love beef ribs. But brisket, man. Brisket is my favorite. So when that guy says that, it's just so much competition, I don't think that he's saying that places are closing because they're not good. I think he's very directly saying that there's a lot of competition here. And now that the margins are so tight, some of us just aren't making it. So, yeah. Whereas, as he says, if you're the only barbecue place in Sacramento, and that's probably real mid barbecue by Texas standards. But if you're the only barbecue place in Sacramento, you'd probably be able to survive this. But in places where it's hyper competitive like Texas, there's just no way to do it. All right, here's the story. It says, where's the beef? Well, not in Texas, at least not as much as it used to be. Texas barbecue joints are shutting their doors across the Lone Star State as sky-high beef prices turn brisket, once the centerpiece of a blue-collar meal, into a luxury item. That meant, oh, sure, anything that good, they probably look like the rich people probably looked at brisket and all that and went, that's too good to be for the poors. Let's poison all the cows so that we can drive the price up, so that brisket can be only something that we enjoy on our yachts. Remember when great grandpapa did that with lobsters? Remember when the poors used to eat lobsters and we said, that's too good for the poors. From Houston suburbs to rural smokehouses of North Texas, pitmasters say soaring wholesale beef costs, inflation, and shrinking consumer traffic are crushing margins and forcing some of the state's most celebrated barbecue institutions out of business. Fuck, look at that. What is that? Man, I like it all, man. Seriously, because I'm like looking at this thing and I'm like, is that Dickies? And I know people that are like, Dickies sucks. Dickies, if you were raised in the Midwest, Dickies does not suck. Dickies is awesome. Now, maybe if you are like, a natural born Texan who grew up with the absolute best, you go to Dickies and you see that as like a McDonald's of barbecue. But not me. I go to Dickies and I'm like, look at this. Look at this. This is, make it big. That's what she said. Look at this. All right, we can get rid of the slaw. I don't need the fucking slaw. I think the mac and cheese is always overrated. Look at that. Got a couple of, I don't know what the, man, that looks good. All I'm saying is that looks amazing. Beans. Oh, I love the ranch beans. Look at that sausage. I bet you that's a jalapeno sausage. God, I want Texas barbecue. Hey, rich guys, here's what we're doing. Rich guys, any rich guys listening here, I'm telling you, man, give me like $1 million and let me introduce brisket barbecue here in the Midwest. Chicago doesn't have any beef barbecue places. We got shit tons of other. We don't have any beef. Okay, this is probably not the best time to do it. Yeah. Look at me. This is the story of my life. I just had this business idea, in the midst of a story about how everybody else doing this business are losing their ass. Yeah, great. Never mind. Forget everything I said. Apparently, beef is too expensive for me to expand brisket into the Chicago market. God, that looked good, though. Jeez. This is as bad as it gets, Houston area pitmaster Russell Ruggles told the Washington Post. Everybody in the business is at risk these days. You are one bad week away from closing. Among the casualties, Brett's Barbecue Shop in Katy closed late last year after 7 years in business. The once beloved smokehouse struggled with a steep rise in operating costs while customers cut back as menu prices climbed. Kirby's Barbecue in New Caney, that's who we heard from. We heard from Kirby. Kirby's Barbecue in New Caney also shuttered after the owner warned that absolutely insane brisket prices were making barbecue prohibitively too expensive. Industry leaders say that the economics of brisket have become nearly impossible for small operators. What's the other place? Sonny Bryan's. That's it. I like Sonny Bryan's. I love the Sonny Bryan's there on Inwood. Is it Inwood? It's like in a real sketchy place. I think it's kind of, isn't it like next to a Salvation Army or something? And whatever. It's over by the hospital there on Inwood. That's Sonny Bryan's, man. Oh, that place is good. And it is so perfect. It is so perfect. If you want like real Texas, if you just got off the plane at Love Field, which is right there, you drive, but you see a shack in a gravel parking lot. It looks like shit. And then the sign is like Sonny Bryan's, and it's like a Vegas sign. It's like the sign says the place is way more successful than the shack that it's held in. Oh, I love Sonny Bryan's. Smokey John's, though. That's the one, you guys. If I could have any barbecue, it would be Smokey John's. Right there at Mockingbird. And again, like Mockingbird and Inwood. Behind that porno bookstore, I think. A brisket can lose roughly half its weight during trimming and smoking, meaning that a restaurant paying around $6 per pound wholesale can wind up with a true cooked meat cost north of $10 per pound before labor, wood, utilities, and rent are factored in. Justin Manning, co-owner of C&J Barbecue in Bryan, Texas, said that restaurants would need to charge close to $40 per pound, $40 per pound just to maintain sustainable margins. To have a margin, I would need to be selling beef for $40 a pound, which no one can do. The pressure is not limited to beef. Restaurant owners say everything from butcher paper and styrofoam containers to insurance and fuel surcharges have become drastically more expensive over the past 2 years. All right, Texans. Say it with me. You voted for this. You voted for this. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Go get yourself some barbecue today. Don't go get yourself some Sonny Bryan's. Don't go get yourself some Dickies. Go get yourself some whatever your local little barbecue place is. Go buy a sandwich. Keep that part of Texas culture alive. Honestly, it can't all be Dickies. It can't all be Sonny Bryan's. It's got to be the independent one-off operator who just crushes it in order for it to be a real piece of Texas culture, which is what it is and which is what we've got to protect. Let's see. Let's do some sports. Okay, Russell Wilson retired. Russell Wilson retired from the NFL. He's going to take a job with CBS. He's replacing Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was doing the studio analyst thing there at CBS Sports, NFL CBS Sports. And Matt Ryan, he decided to leave that so that he could go be a pretend position with the Atlanta Falcons and screw the Chicago Bears out of their third-round compensatory picks. So Matt Ryan is no longer, don't even get me started on that. Matt Ryan left CBS, took a new position that didn't exist with the Atlanta Falcons. They just made it up. And apparently this position is higher than the general manager. And the general manager was our guy, and they would have owed us a third. Oh. Anyway, screw Matt Ryan. Anyway, he's gone, and Russell Wilson is now going to be the new dude there. Russell Wilson's going to be so corny, man. Russell Wilson is corny. Russell Wilson just gives me the heebs. I remember, I'm a Big Ten fan. I remember him at Wisconsin, the little guy running around there. I remember when he went to Seattle and he wasn't supposed to be anything. Didn't Seattle like drafted Russell Wilson, but then also went in like free agency and I don't know, signed like Matt Castle to like a big deal. It was some weird, they brought somebody in. And then Russell Wilson was not supposed to be the starter, but he went nuts, in preseason, and Russell Wilson was off to the races. Russell Wilson had himself a career in Seattle that any quarterback would be proud of. But the question is Russell Wilson a first ballot Hall of Famer? Hell no. No. Here's what I would say about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was one of those guys, and I'm glad to see that he retired now because he was dangerously close to doing something that a lot of truly great athletes do, and that is play their way out of the Hall of Fame. There are players who I have seen put together 6, 7, 8 years of an amazing career and then play for another 12 and completely have everybody forgetting how good they were early in their career, playing your way out of the Hall of Fame. I used to say that about Greg Luzinski. and Greg Luzinski did play his way out of the Hall of Fame. Guys, he needs to retire. He's playing his way out of the Hall of Fame. So that's what Russell Wilson is not going to play his way out of the Hall of Fame. Russell Wilson is going to go into the Hall of Fame. The NFL Hall of Fame loves guys with, good stories. He was kind of an underdog. He was kind of a little guy. He won a Super Bowl. Let's see. After 14 seasons in the league, 37-year-old quarterback released an emotional 3-minute video on social media captioned, "Thank you, football. Love number 3," where he thanked his coach, his family, and patients at Seattle Children's Hospital. See what I mean? Russell Wilson is retiring. And he says, he's like, I'm retiring. But before I do, I just want to thank the people who, helped me get here. I love football, and I just want to thank my coaches, and I want to thank my family and the patients at the Children's Hospital where I, Russell Wilson, spend all of my spare time. He is so fucking corny. He didn't need to. That just plays hollow to me. Come on, man. Tag it at the end with, and remember to support children. That's nice. But, come on. This has been the knock on Russell Wilson. Teammates think he's a phony. Teammates think that he's full of shit. Russell Wilson, he's the guy that when he had a bad game, apparently an entire flight, this is when he was with Pittsburgh, spent an entire flight doing high knee exercises up and down the airplane row while the plane was 30,000 feet. Everybody else on the team is like sitting there, and Russ is very performatively showing everybody how he never quits. It's like, oh God. He's a good quarterback. He was a good quarterback. You cannot take that away. What he did all of those seasons there in Seattle, fantastic. Of course, it all fell apart once Pete was no, actually that's not what happened, right? That's not what happened. He was let go before Pete left Seattle, right? Isn't that it? All right, so let's see here. What are they saying about his Hall of Fame credentials? He's a Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson is going to the Hall of Fame. The question until the last couple of years where he played terribly in Pittsburgh and in New York, the question had been, is he first ballot worthy? Which I think instead of playing in Pittsburgh and New York, if he had just quit as a standalone guy synonymous with the Seattle and the great Seattle teams of Pete Carroll, I think he would have been an NFL Hall of Famer first ballot. That if it was Russell, but because he bounced around at the end and it was just weird and he didn't play well, and there was a bloom that was on his rose before he became the much traveled Russell Wilson. Wilson's career is classic tale of two halves. Oh, okay, look at this. Making him one of the most polarizing modern Hall of Fame candidates. When evaluating his legacy, voters will have to weigh a dominant decade in Seattle against a sharp late career decline. All right, that's what I was just talking about. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a 2-time NFC champion and a 10-time Pro Bowler. Those are Hall of Fame credentials. They're not necessarily Joe Montana, first ballot. Tom Brady, first ballot, not that, but that's definitely Hall of Fame. So let's stop talking about whether or not he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a 10-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, and a 2-time NFC champion. What he does lack, though, I don't know if there's going to mention this anywhere in here. He lacks the personal accolades. He's never been an MVP, never been a Super Bowl MVP, nothing like that. He's always been just the guy driving the team. Let's see here. During his 10 years with the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson's 101.2 passer rating trailed only Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. Okay. Both Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees are first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And he was third. So in the era that he was playing, he was the third most efficient passer, only behind Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. I am not sold on Drew Brees. Like, I think Drew Brees is really good, but I've never been like, oh, he's the best. I think Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback who's ever played. So that's pretty good company. It says here, Russell Wilson is also the only quarterback in NFL history to record over 40,000 passing yards and 5,000 rushing. Yeah, okay, he's a Hall of Famer. All right. But he's not, sorry. I just don't think he's a first ballot. I think that if he had retired when he left Seattle instead of, going to Denver and then, bouncing around, Denver turned it around right after he left. So that's not a good look for him. Not first ballot, but definitely Hall of Famer. All right, there you go. Corny Russell Wilson will be joining CBS TV. He announced today that he is out. He's out of it. All right, last night we had the start of the NBA Finals. The San Antonio Spurs taking on the dreaded and feared New York Knicks down there in San Antonio. The Knicks won game one decisively, right? They win by 10 points or something. I don't know. I'm not really paying attention to this stuff. There was something weird that happened, though. Did you see this? See this kid in the fourth quarter that ran out on the field? Let's watch this. This is a kid from last night's game. He wanted a picture with Wemby. So let's watch how this went down. All right, here we go.
A fan just ran up. Now 6 point.
All right, see him right here with his pink shoes? Here he comes. He's got his phone out because these kids are all about, I'm going to get some clicks.
Nick Lee. A fan just ran on the floor.
All right, so he ran right up to Wemby. See? He's standing next to Wemby, and he's getting a picture with Wemby. Proverbial outrage. The program, man, we don't have any room for that. Oh, shut up. It was exciting. It was fine. Yeah, it's not good. No, of course not. We don't want to encourage it. But whenever these things happen, there's always somebody who's just so outraged. Get over it. Move on. He's going to jail. He's an idiot. You know what? Maybe he should have been beaten up. Maybe that's what could happen. Maybe somebody just clocks him in the fucking face. Maybe the next guy will know I shouldn't run out there. One of these giant 9-foot monstrosities. They're just going to elbow me in the face.
That person wasn't here for the steal there by the Knicks.
Yeah.
And so
now remember, they're totally against that kind of thing. That kind of thing. There's no place for that kind of thing. I just want to go on record. I'm above it. I'm outraged by it. This is too good. He's not a basketball guy. He's not here for the basketball. We are outraged. This is outrageous. Hey, can we roll it again? Let's show it again. Let's do it in slow. This is outrageous. This should never happen. Totally against it. Let's show it again in slow motion. Let's make sure that this is terrible. You shouldn't be watching this. Can we play it again? Can we do it one more time?
That was refereeing that as well.
I've never seen this before. I have seen people run out onto fields, baseball fields, football fields, soccer fields, whatever. And the cameras always cut away, and they never do what they did here. They never then re-rack it and show it again and let's show the kid. They don't do it because they don't want to get into the habit of encouraging more people to do it. But I guess they put their faux outrage early. This is not good. Can we show it again? Let's show it again. Can we also point this dude? Who is that? I don't know. I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't know who this is. This guy is like a moment away from just snapping. This guy comes near this dude. This guy is going to kill him. But look at Wemby. Wemby has no problem at all. Wemby is literally smiling. The guy comes as he's running. He's like, Wemby, can I get a picture? So it was never like there was any fear, I guess. It wasn't like, who's this crazy guy running? The guy was running like a Wemby fan, and Wemby's smiling. Wemby's like, yeah, all right.
You saw the security guard in pursuit.
This guy, though, I love the Nick. The Nick is like, man, let's see him again. He's got one of these. This haircut, this Gen Z boy haircut. Ugh. Man, like half of my kids' friends have this stupid haircut. I'm like, is that a haircut? Like, you paid for that? It's like there's like nothing. It's like it's like almost it's influenced by Sideshow Bob. Like every kid's got a haircut that is, a variation of the Sideshow Bob. It was Knicks Spurs game. Just a couple of years ago, people were like, don't they have snipers? Like, sniper. Again, we're going to murder somebody because we're fearful that this person might do something really bad. So we're just going to murder them because we're fearful. Well, he ran on the court. I don't know. Is that a fucking death sentence? There should be big dudes that body check them. I mean, that dude should have been. The description, I watched that. I read the story before I actually saw it. In that video, the description is like he was tackled to the ground. No, he wasn't. He wasn't tackled to the ground. Game 2, whenever. Anyway, the name of that dude hasn't been released. At least it wasn't before the show. I'm thinking I think he's maybe under 18. He looked like a 17, 16-year-old kid. That's very 17, 16-year-old shit. And he was doing it for clicks, and he was doing it for the live stream. Oh, actually, here, we have here. What am I thinking? I forgot. We've got more video. Because the kid himself was actually filming, so why wouldn't we? Let's show you the video. Here you go. This is the point of view of that kid running out onto the field or court. All right, here we go. Okay, so he seems to be walking near steps here or seats, like he's about to. All right, now here he goes. See, he's like, Wemby. Attention. Wemby. All right, that's fun. I think he deserves to get tuned up, but let's not make that big of a deal out of it. He should have got beat up. I mean, I think you're allowed to be beat up. I was thinking about just a couple of brutal cops, just like an old 1940s like Irish street cop, right? Just that's what that kid needs. That kid needs a little tune up. Which reminded me of a line from the movie. I told you yesterday how I watched the Jay Roach film about the sexual harassment situation at Fox News back in the early 2000s. Bombshell. It's really good. There was they were talking about how to pitch stories. It was a bunch of producers in Fox News, and they were trying to teach this girl, the Margot Robbie character. They were trying to teach her how to pitch stories, and somebody said, "Here's all you need to know. If it's going to scare the shit out of your grandma and piss your grandpa off, that's a good O'Reilly story." It's like, that's it in a nutshell. That's how Fox News built their audience. Does it scare grandma and does it piss off grandpa? There you go. Very funny. Somebody else said they were describing what working at Fox News is. They said and this is where the Irish street cop came. They said, you've got to kind of look at the world like an Irish street cop in the 1950s. Every minority did it. The world is irredeemable. Anyway, whatever. It's a funny movie. There's a lot of funny lines about how Fox News views the world, or at least who they are trying to appeal to. Bombshell. It's on Netflix. I watched it last night. Megyn Kelly, Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly is just worth the price of admission. She is so good. So good that I watched last night a video on YouTube of how Charlize Theron transitioned into Megyn Kelly, because I'm looking at her as Megyn Kelly and I'm going, well, that's I can still see Charlize Theron in there, but holy shit, it's like 85% Megyn Kelly. And then I'm like, oh, and I was wondering how they did that. And then they showed the prosthetics that they used, because as beautiful as Charlize Theron is, her face isn't shaped the same way as Megyn Kelly. So they had to make all these prosthetics, and Charlize Theron still was super hot as Megyn Kelly. I think Megyn Kelly might be hotter than Charlize Theron. Yeah, I had that internal debate while watching that last night. I'm watching it and I'm like, Charlize Theron is playing Megyn Kelly. Is the actress playing the real person? See, most of the time when an actress plays a real person in a film, the actress is far more beautiful than the real person. Erin Brockovich, right? Erin Brockovich was all right, but, she was like a bartender at a Chili's in Fresno, right? She was that kind of hot. Julia Roberts played her. Julia Roberts is a beautiful woman. So in that case, it was like, yeah. But I was watching this last night and I'm wondering, is this a situation where the actual person being portrayed by an actress, a beautiful actress, is actually more beautiful? I don't know. I remember when Jennifer Love Hewitt played Audrey Hepburn in a movie I saw once. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, Jennifer Love Hewitt isn't pretty enough to play Audrey Hepburn. It's not pretty enough. And then that Cuban girl, though, that Cuban girl who played Marilyn Monroe recently, De Armas. Isn't there some girl named De Armas? Anyway, she played Marilyn Monroe, and I remember looking at her going, okay, she's prettier than Marilyn Monroe. The person that they got to play Marilyn Monroe is actually prettier than Marilyn Monroe. I don't know what any of this has to do with anything. Oh, yeah, Bombshell. I think Megyn Kelly might actually be prettier than Charlize Theron. I don't know. Let's wrap it up. That's it. We're done. I don't think we need to do all the videos or anything. You know what we do need to do? Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. That's right. Little segment I like to end each and every show. Each and every show, I am doing a little piece of video that comes to us from one of our nation's ball yards, whether it's a major league stadium, a minor league park, or maybe just, a community ball field, little league game. Sometimes it has to do with players on the field. Sometimes we watch innovations coming to the sport of baseball. And then there are times like this where we go into the crowds and we see how we're behaving. Now, let's go to Globe Life Field in Texas. What do you say? A recent matchup between your Texas Rangers and those New York Yankees featured some fans getting into a fight. And these are some Texas Ranger fans beating the holy shnikes out of some loudmouth Yankee fan. And I have to tell you what I love about this. My absolute favorite part of this whole thing is there is a level of confidence and arrogance, and there are no repercussions for what I'm doing. This Yankee fan, as you see him here, he is staring at another guy, and his mock on him is, why don't you go brush your teeth? Why don't you go brush your teeth? Which I have no idea what kind of an insult that is. Which might make it a really effective insult. Like, could you imagine if somebody insulted you like that and you'd be like, wait, what does that mean? Wait, is there something I'm not aware of? Do I need to brush my teeth? Like, that would almost be more effective. It is such a weird, random insult. So anyway, this Yankee fan is cajoling a Ranger fan with, why don't you go brush your teeth? Why don't you go brush your teeth? Okay, here we go. Let's watch how they sense. I don't need the sound to be that loud, that's for sure. Let's bring the sound down. See, he's going, brush your teeth. Like, what the? And then, of course, he's got a little loudmouth bitch with him. She doesn't know to turn around and shut up, and this is not how people behave in public, but okay. In this moment where he is just so proudly, without any fear, like he's like, I'm just gonna humiliate this other male and nothing's gonna happen to me because nothing. How does this guy think nothing is gonna happen to him? You can only fucks with a grown man long enough before he's gonna fucking hit you right in the chin. All right, son. I know you live online. I know you're used to like arguing with people on Discord, but I'm a grown-ass man and I'm about to break your jaw. but that's not how it's supposed to. Not the other guy. Not the other guy. Apparently it's I don't know, blow up bat day or something. He just starts wailing on the guy. Oh man. See, I just want to say, and I'm going to let it play out from this point, but I just want to say that this guy deserves everything that comes to him because you don't taunt strangers. You behave yourself. How does this guy think that this is okay? Like, this guy lives in a world where someone you've never met before, someone you don't know, is someone that you are comfortable being this aggressively weird with. What the fuck does this guy think is supposed to happen next in the real world? He's supposed to get his jaw broke. That's basically exactly what happens. People need to learn how to behave. A return to civilized society is all I want. Oh, he's trying to get out of there now. Oh, he's throwing haymakers. Oh, he is getting rocked. He is standing there just throwing haymakers. He doesn't know how to throw a punch. The other guy's just direct coming right down the middle, and this guy's like, and he's just going, boop, boop. This is fun. Boom, boom, boom. 3. I counted 3 direct shots right to the face from a guy who knows how to throw a punch. He's throwing directed punches. This guy's just defensively flailing, leaving himself wide. I'm going to lead with my chin, and I'm going to flail like this. And these guys are, boop, there's his chin. Here it comes again. Boop, there it is. This is great. Yeah, he's fucked. He is way fucked up. By the way, his hat, his glasses, they're all gone. Look at her, and she's filming it for clout. She's like, oh, we're going to come out on the good side of this. All right, I imagine at this point, this guy is standing up and saying, all right, son, just go sit down. Just sit the fuck down. And of course, the kid responds by shoving his hand out of the way. And then good old number 5 acts the way I think any man should act in that moment. Oh, you just touched me. Boom. Knock him out. Oh, you just touched me. Thank you. I can punch you in the face now. Now, the guy in the red, I don't think he's got any legal justification for doing this. 5 does. 5 absolutely does. 5 was hit first. That kid shoved 5 away like that, and his instant reaction was defensive, clocked him, and then 5 sat down, and the guy in the red shirt took over. I don't think the guy in the red shirt necessarily has justification for this, so be a little bit worried when the police start to decide who gets what. You brush your teeth. All right, Yankees kid, he lands 2 overhand rights here in a row. Yankees kid lands 2 overhand rights to the guy's left ear. And that could be problematic, but that doesn't last long. All right, boom, there's 1. He landed that. And there he landed that. And then he swung wildly. Now he's about to get dialed up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that one sat him down. That one right on his nose. Sat his ass down. All right, there you have it. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Texas Rangers, Globe Park. Guys, this didn't happen in the 1960s. There weren't brawls breaking out at the Polo Grounds when, Ted Williams came to the plate. Seriously, understanding this is another example. This regular thing that happens now, starting in around the 1980s, probably took off in the 90s, and now with video and all that, it happens all the time. But it used to not be like this at stadiums. People used to behave. Men, gentlemen used to go to baseball games in the middle of the days wearing shirts and ties, sport coats. We are trash people. So when I say, I pine for a return to some form of civility in nice society, that's what I'm talking about. This is the very your grandpa would never have thought that, I'm going to go to Fenway and I'm going to beat up some guy. That is just not the way people behaved publicly back then. But now, brush your teeth. As our first lady and former escort says, be bester. Be bester. We got to be bester. I think that's words to grow on. Let's all be bester. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Let's do this again tomorrow. What do you say on Friday? I do want to thank our executive producer. I don't think I did that yet today. Oh my God, I suck. Well, no big deal. It is the exact same one as yesterday. Thank you, Peter, for helping us out. Haven't really been pitching today, but that doesn't mean that we don't need a little bit of help. So drop a little something as a tip, as a thank you, as a hope you do a show tomorrow kind of a gesture. That would be wonderful. Cash App and Venmo open 24/7. Doesn't got to be now. It can be in the middle of the night. That's fun. That's always fun to wake up and go, oh, look, somebody gave me $10 so I can keep doing my show. Venmo and Cash App, always open. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow. And, wait, hold on. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. Yeah, not much. All right, we're good. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. All right, bye, you guys. And remember, what do we say? Stay neighborly.